Alright, having covered some basic functions of iBooks in the previous video, let's get into reading in our iBooks and doing some practical work and seeing some of the more advanced features and how we can use them in class. I'm going to use a few of the books that we've created for this year, as well as some EPUBs downloaded from the iBook store, just to show you a few differences of how those things look and prepare you for working with both types. The first book I'm going to dip into is the Freshman Spanish book, so I'm going to launch that. And when that opens up, the first thing we should talk about is how to navigate in an iBook. When you are at a particular page, you can see the page number in the lower right corner, page 27. To get back to the beginning of a chapter and to make navigation easier, the first thing to do is pinch on the page. So with two fingers pinched together, and that will bring you back to the chapter page. Now you can see in the lower portion of the screen, the very bottom of the screen, there is a series of dots, and then there's one dot that's encircled or boxed. That's the chapter you're on. If I swipe, I can go through the chapters and the dot advances. So if I can go all the way, I keep swiping to the left. I go to my final chapter. I swipe to the right. I'm brought back to earlier chapters. Right? Now, at the bottom of the screen are thumbnail images, and I can scroll through the chapter like so, and I can find my page and tap on it directly, or I can follow the link to the sections in the chapter. But when I get to the page I want to, I can simply tap on it and launch. So I'll go back to my vocabulary page for this chapter. Now, interacting with the text in iBooks uses the multi-touch features, the tapping and double tapping. So if I double tap on an individual word, iBooks will highlight that word, and you see this contextual menu come up. And you can see across the top: copy, define, highlight, note, search, share, or speak. We'll get into note because that's something we'll probably do a lot of. But the first thing to know is that there is a dictionary built into iBooks that works with PDFs, EPUBs, and iBooks files. And that definition uses the Oxford Dictionary of English. So if I tap define, I'll get a definition. Now, the word bananas is spelled the same in Spanish as in English, so I get a nice simple definition. But if I wanted to load a foreign language dictionary, this is how I would do it. You can see at the bottom of the box, I have the word manage. When I tap manage, I get all these different options. Now you can see that I have the English dictionary loaded. If I wanted to delete the English dictionary, I could tap that black X to the right of it, but I wouldn't do that. I can see all the different foreign language options offered to me built within iBooks. So something to think about: if you're a foreign language teacher, you can load in a dictionary. It's not a French to English or a Spanish to English dictionary. It is a dictionary of French in French, or it's a dictionary of Spanish in Spanish. But it's still an option, and you can make use of that for your vocab. Going back, if I don't like the dictionary definition I'm given, I can click or tap the other link at the bottom of the dictionary window, search web, and it will perform a Google search for the word that I've highlighted, and I can get the results there. Right? One of the other features in our teacher-created iBooks is that a certain amount of work has been embedded in the books, and you can assign this work in class or for homework, and they usually appear as links, in this case red links in the Spanish book. So if I tap on the link for exercise 3.1, what will happen is I will launch a window that brings up this exercise, and you can see that this is a vocab exercise for students to complete. It's one page. Right? And I can see here it says open in iBooks or open in. Now, you could direct your students on how you want them to open this, but there's a variety of apps available to them. When I go to open in, this is a PDF. I have a lot of different apps on my iPad that I could use. I probably will most of the time have students complete this type of work in Notability. So what happens is I would have them open it in Notability, and then I could direct them to where I want to put the work, if I want it to go in a homework section or a notes section or whatever I've done to divide up my notebook. You can also have them launch it in other apps where you feel the work would be appropriately done, but this way they can go directly from their reading assignments into, say, a homework assignment or classwork assignment. I'm going to go back to the iBook now. Right? And let's get out of the Spanish book and show some other features in iBooks. I'm going to launch the Lit book, and as I mentioned in the previous video, the Lit book is meant to be viewed in portrait, so my iPad will rotate. And here we have one page for the literature that's an introduction to an author. Now, a couple of things about note-taking. We saw before that when you highlight a word, note comes up. So let's highlight a word in this Poe biography. Again, if I just wanted to highlight it, I could choose that from a menu. But if I wanted to attach a note to this, I can tap on the word note, and then this little sticky note pops up, and my keyboard will appear, and I can write whatever I want to in this note. This could be something you have the students do on their own. You could direct them to do it. Completely up to you. Right? And what happens is this. Now that I've made the note, you can see there's a little highlighted yellow square in the margin, and the word itself remains highlighted. If I wanted to see what I've written, I can tap on the word and go to the note icon, right? Or I can view my notes another way. By tapping on the screen, I'll bring up the top menu bar. And on the top menu bar, 3 in will be a little notepad icon. When I touch that, I bring up my notes view. Now, here is where I can see all the notes I've taken in a particular chapter, right? And since I've downloaded this clean copy of the book, this is my only note. If you wanted students to define terms for a homework assignment, say, this would be how you could check it very, very easily. You could have the students bring up their notes view, and you could see all of their notes at once. So if you had them define 10 terms for homework, say, this would be how you could view those definitions in the book if you wanted them to do it in their iBook. But a way that's more practical for the students to view it, if you see at the top, there's the button for study cards. And when I touch study cards, what happens is I will get all the notes I've made as flashcards. So you see it says tuberculosis. I tap on that, and then I got what I've written, disease of the lungs. Now, when I flick this card to the back of the pile, I have a bunch of other note cards that I didn't create. And you see in the top left corner of the card, it says glossary term. One of the things that teacher-created iBooks can do is create a glossary and sort of preload important terms and their definitions. So if I tap on character, I get a definition, and then I can see other terms. These are alphabetized for the chapter, as you can tell, right? And these words were put into the book by the teachers for the students of the course, right? I can change which ones appear. I can shuffle the order in the settings, right? These are organized by chapter, by the way. So in the top left, you see it says chapter 1. I can choose another chapter. If I go to the poetry chapter, I don't have any notes, but I do have study cards. And these are terms that relate to poetry. And you can see them here, right? So the glossary and note-taking are integrated in teacher-created iBooks. I'm going to get out of this book for a moment and just show you the difference between notes in a teacher-created iBook and notes in a EPUB file that was downloaded from the iBook store. I'm going to go to The Great Gatsby. Now, this is The Great Gatsby that you can purchase in the iBook store. And if I go to the table of contents icon in the top left next to library, these 3 dots and 3 lines, I can see 3 tabs at the top. One of them is notes. This is how the notes are arranged in an EPUB, and you can scroll through. Now you can see the text that I highlighted. You can see in the font beneath that different font what I typed, and then you can see the page number. And you can actually see the date in which I made the note as well. I can scroll through this. Now, it doesn't give me the flashcard view. That is not available in the EPUB file. It's only available in the teacher-created iBooks. But what both the EPUB and the teacher-created book can do is share notes. In the top right corner, I have this little box with an arrow up, meaning to go out of the app. I can say Edit Notes. Let me select all of them, and then I can choose Share. And that'll give me the option of emailing the notes or printing them on a paper copy. And if I choose email, I can even copy and paste the text out into another app if I want. So if you have notes that you want to share with students, this is one option you can do that in. Student is out and missed something. This is a way for you to sort of catch them up quickly if you want. Cancel that, right? And let me go back into our literature book that we created for the freshmen, right? There are other things in teacher-created iBooks besides the text they might want to interact with, which we'll get to in just a second. But let me show you a few other text features. Again, by tapping on the screen, I bring up the top menu. And then to the right, I have the brightness controls, right? If your battery is low, by the way, one of the major drains of the battery is the display. So if you notice that your battery is getting a little low and you need to get another period out of it, sometimes dimming the settings on the brightness will stretch the battery life a little for you. Next to that is a magnifying glass. Magnifying glass is a search index that will scan the entire text of the book and look for particular words. So I'm going to type in brave here. All right, I'll just confirm that's the word I want. Now this is the literature book that contains about 30 different selections of literature spanning about 500 pages. So the word brave occurs 18 times in this book. But you can see that it gives me the first 3 hits. It tells me what sections they're in, what works of literature they're in, what page they're on. It gives me the context in which the word is used, and then I can see all 18 results by tapping on the link at the bottom. I can also search the web or search Wikipedia for that word if I want further information. So that's very helpful if you are trying to find where you left off reading and you remember a key term. Next to the magnifying glass, you have a bookmark function. This might be great to remember where you left off with a particular class, or to highlight a particularly important section you want to make sure you get back to students with. And again, this is where an e-reader like iBooks is a lot better than just loading into an annotation app like Notability. Each app has certain strengths. The ability to mark up text and the ability to annotate and make notes in Notability is great, but the ability to manipulate a large text in iBooks is superior. So you'll want to use each app accordingly, right? Now, one of the other things in iBooks that very few other apps have is the ability to interact beyond just static text. So on this page with Poe, we have a widget that lets us watch a video. And you can see it, it's this gray box beneath the picture. I'll tap it and watch the video, and this will launch. Now, in most of the books, we have streamed these via YouTube or some other video sharing site. So it means that the book has stayed a nice, small, manageable file size, but it means that to view the videos, you need to be connected to the internet. So if I tap play on this Poe video, it will load up. I can view it full screen if I want by tapping in the lower right corner. And I can view that video, the way I would typically in a YouTube comment.
Master of the Macabre. He wrote...
Right. I close out the video. I can exit the widget, and I'm back to my book. So there are other types of widgets you might see in the book. For example, in our drama section, we have, along with videos like that, we have the audiobooks that you can see here, right? And you can listen to the entire play being read to you. In the back of the literature book, in the appendix, we actually have a couple of things. One is a widget that allows us to write on the screen if we were to plot points. You can see down below you have different colors to write in. I'm going to select a small black brush, and I can maybe draw an outline of things. This is talking about the plot in a story. I can change my color to blue. And you can see that I can draw on the screen. I can write on the screen. I have a clear command. I have an eraser. Right? Lets me do that. I also have the bottom of this this page, report errors. This is actually a Google form that I can submit information that'll get dumped into a spreadsheet that I can then look at and see if there's mistakes that kids caught in the book or that other teachers caught in the book. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get information into and out of iBooks. So I hope that was helpful in learning how to use the basic text that we have, and educate you on how you can get more out of the iBooks experience.